What's up guys, my name is Avinash and welcome back my channel The Learning Destinations, and today's session is quite interesting because under this sessions I'm going to cover step by step process of AWS EKS deployment with the Terraform, and I believe you are equally excited too. So without any further delay, let's start this journey. And before I start, I request to all my new visitors, please don't forget to subscribe my channel. And those who has already subscribed my channel, please like and share as much as possible. Alright guys, so let's start the practical session, and this is my account on medium.com, and yesterday night I had already published the entire documentations on automating EKS cluster deployment on AWS with Terraform on medium.com. So I'm going to give this link under the description sections. You can take it from there. So we are going to follow the steps from here. Okay, the first of all, there are prerequisites, and in prerequisite you need to make sure that your local system should have Terraform and AWS CLI installed, and after that you need to clone this repository. So this is my GitHub repository where I have already committed all the codes on GitHub. Okay, so we are going to follow these documentations, and I'm going to mention this medium.com link and this GitHub repo link under the description section, so you can take it from there. Okay, so firstly I'm going to copy it. I have already installed AWS CLI and Terraform on my local system, and currently I'm using the Visual Studio, so I'm going to clone it here. Okay, let me see that. So this is my directory here. Okay, I'm going inside that. Okay, now we just stick with the documentations. Then we need to go that under this directory, and I'm already there. Okay, Terraform EKS automations. After that, there is a section called update the variables. Okay, so I have updated the variables according to my need. Okay, but might be in your organization you have different naming conventions, and that is the reason that I have suggested here you need to update the variable according to your requirement. Okay, so basically you can update the variable here. Here you just need to mention the string value, and the actual value will come under here, terraform.tf vars file. Okay, you wanted to, if you want to understand more deeply that how I have defined the variables and all, you can watch this video, my previous video, AWS VPC deployment with the Terraform. Okay, so here I have explained the variables value. Okay, so you can take the help of this tutorial. Okay, let's come back. So after updating the variables, okay, now we are going for the next step. The next step is, here I am saying that rename the eks.tf file, and why it is needed I will explain you. Okay, so let's first rename it. I'm going to rename my eks.tf file here. Okay, so let me explain. If I do not rename it, then what will happen? Okay, if I run currently in eks.tf file, let me take you under this file. Okay, so there are some roles which I called. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so I am calling few roles here, this SSH key, cluster role, node role. Okay, and if I run directly Terraform apply command, then Terraform will be unable to find these roles. Okay, because this is not yet created. So firstly we need to create this node role, cluster role, these SSH keys, these policies. Then after that, when we run eks.tf command, at that time the error won't appear. Okay, so first, and that is the reason that here I suggest better to rename your eks.tf file. Okay, so I'm going to rename it eks.tf, then eks.tf.back. Okay, now after that we need to initialize Terraform command. The same I have written in documentations. Okay, so let's init initialize Terraform init. So it is saying, okay, so basically I need to load my AWS credentials. Guys, if you are not aware about this, what I am talking about, you need to watch this video. So under this video, I had already explained about this user. So basically, we need one IAM user which have the administrative right. So whenever we run any command or this, whenever this Terraform is create any resources in under my AWS account, should have the sufficient privileges so it can create any resources. Okay, then after that I'm going to run again terraform init command. So it is installing the HashiCorp AWS version 5.11.0. Let's get it installed, and once it is installed then I will get back. So Terraform is successfully initialized now. Now we are going to run the Terraform plan, and we are going to see that what are the resources is going to be created. So I'm running Terraform plan command now. I hope you are already aware about the Terraform plan command. So basically it start reading that what are the resources we are going to create or we are going to destroy any resources. So before applying it, it gives you an idea that the exact resources whether you are going to create or you are going to destroy, it gives you the complete informations about it. Okay, so we are going to add total 30 resources, and there is nothing to destroy. Okay, and there is nothing to change. Okay, what are the resources we are going to create? You can go one by one and you can see here, right? Because I already written the code, so I know that I'm going to create firstly the entire VPC. Okay, and in this VPC, what are the resources I am going to create? So again, I would suggest better you go with this tutorial AWS VPC deployment with the Terraform, and you will get to know the entire resources. Okay, so in this sections that you are not going only deployment of EKS, in fact you are going to deploy the entire VPC, and under that particular VPC you are going to deploy your EKS cluster. So I made it here everything very simple. So it's going to create the entire VPC, and basically inside that VPC it's going to create, let me explain you a little bit so it will be much easier for you to understand the code. So it is going to create one VPC. After that it is going to create one public subnet, and I keep the public subnet as a web tier, and then it is going to create the two app subnet. Okay, these two app subnet you can consider as a private subnet, and these private subnet I'm going to use these private subnet under the EKS cluster. Okay, and why we need two zone? Because we need to mention here two zone, because if you try to spin up the EKS cluster under one zone, it won't allow. So always your EKS cluster requires two zone, two availability zone. Okay, then this is the DB tier, and I'm creating one subnet for the database. Okay, and then after that there is a public route, private route. Okay, and then after that the route table association. So if you are a little bit aware about how the VPC is entire made, you will have exact the idea what I am doing. It is just nothing. I am creating three tier, one VPC, three tier subnet, one public subnet, two private subnet. Okay, after that I am assigning these public private subnet under the public private route. Then I am creating the internet gateway, NAT gateway. I am associating internet gateway to the public route and associating NAT gateway to the private route. Okay, after that all the values and variables given is covered under these two files, variable.tf sorry, terraform.tf vars. Okay, After that, I'm creating one SSH key, which I'm going to further use under the EKS file. Then I'm creating the security group, which is required for the Bastion host, which I'm going to create a later on. Okay, so using this Bastion host, okay, so I'm creating the Bastion host as well here. So this Bastion host I will be using to access my EKS cluster. Okay, and then there is a policies is there. So I'm creating few rules and policies. Okay, so let's run the apply command. And it's a simple policy. If you go, you will easily understand that there is nothing rocket science here. Okay, so it is a LBC load balancer controller policy. So it is required when you it is required when you install the load balancer controller once your EKS cluster setup is up and running. Okay, then this is the node role, which is further required for node group. Okay, this is cluster role, which is again required for the EKS cluster. So let me run the Terraform apply command here. Okay, so again you can double check here and make sure that the all the resources is exactly creating the way you want. Okay, and then you type the yes command here. Okay, then you give a go ahead signal. Okay, so it's going to create all the resources and it's going to take some time, like 2 to 4 minutes, and once it completes all the resource, then I will be get back. Okay, so meanwhile time I am pausing this video. Okay guys, so here I received a error, and this error basically tells about that this security group doesn't exist under this VPC ID. So if you go through the Bastion host, okay, here I have given the hard coded value. Actually yesterday night I just wrote this script for Bastion host, and I wanted to test it as soon as possible, and that is the reason that I have hard coded value. However, you can give as a variable as well. Okay, so but don't worry, you just keep watching my this GitHub repository, keep looking on this. Okay, I will improve it and I will call this value as a variable later on. But as of now, what I am going to do, I am going to rename it, and firstly I will create the security group. Okay, and then I will hard code the value here. Okay, so I'm going to remove it from here for meanwhile time, and I'm going to create the security group first. Okay, I'm going to create all the security group, and then I will get back and make the entry, and then I will run it again. Okay, so let me run it again. Terraform apply command. So I think most of the resources it has already created. Let me see that, because earlier the count was 30. Let's check that how much resources are still pending to create. Okay, so it is completed. Apply complete. Okay, zero added, zero change destroyed. Okay, I already run. So I think it was already created everything. Just it was going to create this Bastion host, and there it didn't find the value. Okay, because it is the hard coded value. So obviously this time this security group is having the different value, different IDs, right? That is the reason that it was unable to find it. Okay, so no worries. And basically we need to pick it up this security group, the management security group. So we can take it from here. We can go here. This is my AWS account. Okay, so I go here under VPC section. Okay, and then go to security group. Basically we need to pick the management security group ID here, and we need to hard code there. Okay, so this is the management security group, so we can pick this ID. And all right, I return to my code, I put hard value, I save it, and now I'm going again. I'm going to run Terraform apply. All right. Oh, sorry. I need to rename it again so it can pick. Okay. So I cancel here. Perfect. I cancel here. Desktops. Okay. Now I'm going to run again Terraform apply. Okay. So now it is going to add one Bastion host. You can see here. Want to add. Okay, say yes. So it will create our bastion host, which later we are going to use to access our EKS cluster. Okay, so let's get it create, and once it is created I will be back. All right guys, the instance has been successfully created. We cross check, we go to EC2 sections. By the way, we have created the entire VPC, all the roles. Okay, so this is the VPC we have created, and we can cross check here quickly, and we can also cross check in IAM role sections. So we have created two roles here and attached few policies to that particular role. So here we can confirm our Bastion host. Okay, so this is the Bastion host we just created. It is still initializing, and we can go to roles and we can make sure I just type in the my. That is how I have given the naming conventions. Okay, so EKS node role, cluster role, these two role I have just created. Okay, okay, perfect. Now let's get back, and now we follow again the documentations. Okay, so we have already completed these three sections, these three commands: init, plan, apply. Now wait for the deployment that we have already waited, and we have already created the required resources. Now we will again move EKS back file with the EKS.tf. Let's run this command. Okay, so go and run this command. Move. My EKS.tf file is starting with the caps one. Okay, however in documentations it is given in a small one, so don't get confused here guys. Now EKS.tf. Okay, all right. So here is my EKS.tf, and now what the document is saying, again we are going to run Terraform plan and apply. Let's run this Terraform apply, so we will have idea that now what are the resources as a EKS cluster we are going to create. It is saying inconsistent dependency log file. So to update log dependency, match change configurations, run the following dependency. What kind of, I also see first time this error. Anyway, if I once again I try to Terraform init, and I'm also seeing first time this kind of error. I never experienced this. But anyway, since I'm following this documentations completely, okay, so you won't have any problem, because if any error comes, I'm debugging it live with you. Okay, so now run Terraform plan. I don't know why the error was coming. I'll look it later on, but right now it is working, so it's okay. We can continue. Okay, so it's now going to add another 20 resources. No changes, no, it's not going to destroy anything. And okay, perfect. So we are going to, okay, before that I take you through the code of EKS. Okay, so what it is, EKS.tf. Let's focus guys here. Okay, so we are going to create one KMS key. okay, here, and we have given the administrator. I mean, if you are familiar with the KMS keys, right, then you are familiar that where we need to point out one admin, we need to make one administrator, we need to give user here, okay. If you come here in variable sections, okay, in value I have already given the administrative role, okay. So I want this role to become an administrative, I want this user to be the user of my KMS keys, okay. So I mean, you can change the value as per your requirement if you have different roles or admin, or you can just put the value, the roles and admin which you want to make it as a administrator and the user, okay. So those value has already given. So this section is creating KMS keys. Then I am putting a lies here. It means I am giving the name of my KMS keys, okay. Again, these name, guys, you can change the value as per your requirement. You don't need to go through exactly the way I have given, okay. Always follow your organization's naming conventions. And then here I'm calling the created node role and cluster role, right? So this is in Terraform data. When you are pointing it, it means the value is already created, the resource is already created, and you are calling it in another file. And that is the reason that earlier I had renamed it and I was not running the eks.tf file, because if at that time I would have run, definitely it gives me error. Okay, so EKS node role we have already created, cluster role we have already created, those we are calling. SSH key we have already created, okay, and those we are calling. Now this is the cluster part, and here I have given the name, the role, okay, cluster role, and here I am giving since two subnet is required, so I am hosting this elastic, I am hosting this EKS cluster under private subnet, okay. So I have given the two zone, 1A and 1B here, and then encryption value here I am calling the keys, okay. Then after that come, okay, then after that the main sections I am taking you through. Then here is a OIDC TLS certifications, you can follow exactly the same. Here I am enabling the OIDC, okay. After that I am adding few add-ons, like add-ons for CNI, right. Then after that it's a core DNS, then VPC CNI, after that then kube proxy. So these are the add-ons. Then I'm creating the node group, and under the node group I'm keeping the size like the 3 only. I'm going to initiate the max size of 3 worker node, okay. And then here you can change the instance type as per your requirement. And then after that, okay, let's come down, and here I am updating the load balancer controller IAM role. I am creating one role here, LBC role, okay, and I'm attaching this LBC policy here to this role. And after that I'm creating few security group which is required to in out of your EKS traffic, okay. So you can go through it and update these values as per your VPC CIDR range, okay. So let's run this command, Terraform apply. Okay, I'm going to say yes. Now it's going to create one by one each resources, so it's going to take some time. So I'm going to pause this video as this tutorial will be a longer video, so I don't want to record a longer video. I want to keep it short as much as possible. So I'm going to pause it, and once it is created or if any error appears, then I will be back and I will show you and we will debug it together. So it is still creating the cluster. Total time 5 minutes 50 seconds has already elapsed. So it is still creating the cluster. Let's get it create, and then I will be get back. Alright guys, so I received an error. It is saying that a duplicate security group rule was found under this. Okay, so let me check that. What is it? uh, okay, okay, let's go to security group and refresh it, and this is the security group actually, 515. Okay, and edit inbound rules. It is saying, okay, let's check here. It is saying already one. Okay, so this is for all. So basically this security group role, we need to remove it from here. Okay, the reason why, I'll fix it later on, let me tell you. Okay, so there is two entry already, one is for UDP and one is for TCP. Now I need to fix it. Why it is not accepting? I mean, somewhere I need to differentiate between UDP and TCP so it can understand, and that is the reason that it is giving error. And if you go through the documentation, the same I have mentioned. If you receive an error message about duplicate inbound rules, please remove the duplicate entry in the inbound rules of the EKS cluster security group and execute the Terraform apply command again. Okay, so yesterday night when I was drafting this and when I tested it, I have seen this error. Okay, so you need to remove that entry from your EKS cluster security group. Okay, and after that you need to run it again, Terraform apply command. So you just keep it watching, you just keep an eye on this particular GitHub repository. Okay, and because definitely after that I am going to figure it out that why it is giving us error. Okay, so I'll figure it out and I'll commit the next changes here. Okay, and maybe when you see this, by the time I will be fix it. Let's run Terraform apply command. Soon I'm going to commit the fixes under this GitHub repository, so just keep an eye on this repository. Okay, so I'm running once again Terraform apply command, and this time it will be succeeded. Okay, I'm saying yes, and that is only one security group it's going to add. So our EKS cluster is successfully created. We check, we go back and check again, we cross verify here EKS cluster. Okay, so this is the cluster which is already up and running. Okay, so now we are going to access this cluster. Let's get back to the documentations. Okay, so we have done with this part, now we are going accessing EKS cluster from Bastion host, and we have already created the Bastion host, this one. Okay guys, here I am going to access this instance using session manager. Okay, how I have enabled the session manager, if you would like to know the entire procedure, you need to watch this video, how to enable session manager SSM for EC2. I have already covered it. Okay, so you can visit my YouTube channel and then you can watch this tutorial how to enable SSM for EC2 instance. Okay, so there you will get to know that how I have enabled it. Okay, so currently this session manager is uh, not running. Okay, so I know the reason why it is, because currently I have only allowed the outbound rules on VPC CIDR range. Okay, so what I'm telling you, let me explain. So I select this, I go in security group here, I open this, and under the outbound rules I will also fix this. Okay, and push the latest commit into my GitHub repository. Okay, so because the reason I didn't allow it, because maybe in your organizations you cannot open the outbound rules on internet like 000, and that is the reason that I only allowed it under the VPC CIDR range. Okay, so let me edit outbound rules, add it all traffic on 00. Okay, and then save rules. We go back and again in instances, refresh it, my Bastion, connect. Okay, maybe we can restart one more time because sometimes it doesn't come, it doesn't take effect. The reason, because if you go and user data setting here, instance setting, edit user data, here I have given the user data. Okay, and basically it is installing few packages here. Let me show you. Python, and then it is installing this SSM package and all. So if we restart it, let me check it again, and if it doesn't come, I think it doesn't come. So let me restart it again. I go here, stop. I do a stop start. So it is stopping. It is still getting a stop. So it is a stop now. Now we start it again. Start the instance. These three instances are the worker node, which we have given in EKS cluster. So you can see it here. These three instances. If you go to compute part, my node group, these are the three instances which you can see here. Okay, let's check once again my Bastion host. We go connect and session manager, open quick setup. Okay, we need to do this and create. Target is already there. Okay, let's come back and refresh it. Instance, it is still initializing. Let's get it up completely. Once it is up, I will be back. Once it pass all the tests, then I will be back. Alright guys, so now a status check is 2 by 2 check passed. Okay, so now we can check it again. I select this, connect session manager. Just wait. Okay, so now it is visible. It means we have successfully set up our session manager. We can connect to Bastion host, and from there we will be access this EKS cluster. Okay, this EKS cluster which we have just now created. So I become the sudo. It is not necessary, you can just run the commands from your user as well, if you don't want to become a root. And then we followed our documentation. So in documentation it is saying that there are some prerequisites, and we need to make sure that the AWS CLI and kubectl should be installed over there. Okay, so since this is a completely new instance, so I'm going to install the AWS CLI here, and it is a Ubuntu based system. So I follow this and I take this, install AWS CLI. Okay, we have this. I know I need to also install the unzip. To unzip this one, apt get install. The system is a bit slower. Apt get install unzip apt hyphen get install unzip. Okay, so now I can unzip this AWS. Okay, now I go to AWS under this and I run this install. This is what it is written in documentations here. Okay, so AWS hyphen version. Okay, so AWS is installed already. Now we need to, if you follow the documentations, we need to kubectl. Why we need it? Because we are going to create the kube config file. So we need to run the kubectl command. So we need to install it as well. So we take this, we take help of this documentations. I found it. It is nicely, uh, it is nicely described the steps here. So I feel it is quite easy, and that is the reason that I am following this one. And after that, sorry, here, okay, then we need to do this one, and after that we are sending it to the bin, so it will be available on system level, so any user can access it. Okay, so now we have kubectl installed. Okay, now after that, if you go, then run AWS configure command. So again, we need one of the user which have the accessibility to access all the resources in AWS. Okay, so either you can create one user, give the permissions of entire EKS clusters. Okay, so it can access the EKS cluster. So I have one of the user uh, which I have given as the admin rights. So I'm going to run this command AWS configure, and I'm going to pick it from here. This is my user actually. So I go to cat credential, and I'm going to use this credentials of my admin account. You don't try to use this user because I'm going to delete it, so it won't help you. And I'm going to put the secret key. Sorry, I think I didn't copy it. Let me take it and go. Okay, perfect. Then I do, and default reason is AP reason hyphen southeast hyphen one, and format is JSON. Okay, I just cross verify whether it's working or not by running some command. Okay, so it's working. Then after that, we follow the documentations. Now create kubeconfig file with AWS CLI. Okay, so I am going to run this command. And before that, I have given some notification here. So replace region code with your region. Since I am staying in Singapore, so I am giving the Singapore region, and I am replacing the my cluster with my cluster name. Okay, so I'm taking this one and I'm changing here with AP hyphen southeast hyphen one, and my cluster name is my EKS hyphen cluster. That is my cluster name, right? So I copy it entire command. I return back to the Bastion host and I run this command. Okay, now it is successfully added under kubeconfig file. Okay, under this locations. Now test your configuration. So firstly, we need to run this command, and if everything works well, then we get the response. Perfect. We are getting cluster IP. and after that we can check entire pods as well. Okay, and I check here. Okay, so it's perfectly all the pods are running successfully. Okay, so it's core DNS, these three nodes are there, core DNS, proxy, everything. So now if you host anything, if you deploy any services, you will be successfully able to do it. Okay, so guys, that's all from this sessions. So we have learned that how we can deploy the complete EKS deployment using Terraform, and in between while running this entire procedure, whatever the error appears, we fix it together. Okay, so you also can go and deploy the entire, automate the entire EKS deployment process. So that's all from this sessions. I hope you really enjoyed this lecture, and if you love it, then don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you so much, guys.